Once you've seen how an OWLive is done, it can look a little intimidating. There are a lot of issues that can come up, and it's best to know how to approach them when they come, and how to prioritize an OWLive, because it's an interesting hybrid between an OWL and a face-to-face appointment. So here are some of the issues you might come up against and how to address them. The first types of issues you'll come up against in an OWLive appointment are technological issues, because although an OWLive appointment is most like a face-to-face appointment, it uses technology, and technology can be a fickle mistress. The first issue you might come up with is video issues. If a student's saying, "I can't see you," here are the different troubleshooting steps you can take for that. First of all, you can ask them to look to see if their pop-up blocker is enabled. Is it blocking your video? Have they selected Allow on the pop-up screen at the top of their window? Make them check all of these things to never assume it's definitely something on your end. Secondly, have them check their video equipment. Is it working? Check your video equipment. Make sure that you can see yourself on the screen. Make sure that maybe the secretary can see you if she logs in with you. Just make sure that everything that you have is hooked up correctly. If none of that seems to work and everything seems to be going smoothly with it, but for some reason it's still not working, have them check their browser. Internet Explorer, for instance, historically is not compatible with OWLives. You may consider asking them to download another browser, such as Mozilla Firefox or Google Chrome. A second issue might be audio related. If the student says, "I can't hear you," again, you're going to want to ask them to check their pop-up blockers. Have them check their headphones. Are those plugged in correctly? Are they activated? Are the settings on their computers correct for their headphones? Have they downloaded the necessary software to be using them? Have them check their computer audio settings. Is it set for their headphones to be listening? Are their speakers actually turned on? Is their volume up? Secondly, check your equipment. Are your headphones working? Are your computer audio settings correct? If all of this still doesn't seem to fix the problem, again, have them check their browser. Usually you'll see both of these in conjunction. Audio and video usually aren't working at the same time. The second type of problem you might come against is that has to do with the paper. So they might say, "Is there a way I can attach my paper?" Sometimes students don't realize that it's best to attach their paper before the appointment. If they haven't attached it though, that's fine. You can encourage them to attach it to their appointment through WC Online, or you can encourage them to copy and paste it into the whiteboard feature of OWLive, or you can have them email it to the OWL email. The feature that we suggest is your last ditch effort is to have them copy paste into the chat function. That can be iffy to work with because you can't account for formatting. It'll change all of the formatting and you'll have to scroll through a lot of writing before you can actually find what they're talking about. So we suggest that you don't have them copy paste into the chat feature unless absolutely necessary. They may ask, "Did you proofread my paper for me?" Remind them that the slot that they have scheduled with you for the OWLive is the time you are currently spending with them. You don't have extra time to be looking over their paper and to be proofreading it for. Secondly, they may have paper length issues. Sometimes their paper is longer than you would normally look at for a face-to-face or an OWL appointment. But that's okay because OWLives are a little more flexible, and you can let them know that if they're going to schedule other appointments, that they may want to limit their page length of what they look over. Also, there may be a paper attachment issue. Maybe they didn't attach it, so you couldn't have looked over it for them. And lastly, remind them that the consultant priorities aren't proofreading. We prioritize higher order concerns, and thus you would like to discuss with them how to fix their paper rather than tell them everything they need to fix on it. The final type of issue that you might come across in an OWLive appointment is a student-based issue. Sometimes students don't show up for OWLive appointments, or sometimes they email and they're upset because you didn't treat it as an OWL appointment. This is where you have to use your personal judgment and do some investigating. Did they attach a paper to their appointment? Check through their previous appointments as well. Were those OWL appointments? They may have had just a slip of the finger and picked the wrong appointment type. This is where you use your judgment and decide if they missed the appointment or if they intended for it to be an OWL appointment. If they intended for it to be an OWL appointment, you can easily change the type of appointment and then treat it as an OWL appointment. Maybe mention in your comments that they accidentally selected an OWLive appointment, and for future reference to be a little more careful. They may also ask you to please just read their paper and fix it. First of all, you're going to want to remind them that they have a specific time slot with you they've scheduled, and you're spending that time slot face-to-face with them through an OWLive. They did not allow for time for you to go through the paper without them. Also, this is a good time to remind them of the consultant priorities. Because we don't prescriptively fix papers for students and we are not a proofreading service, this is a good time to discuss with them the ways in which we interact. Also, because this is an OWLive appointment, which is more similar to a face-to-face appointment, you might remind them that this is a good opportunity while you have them face-to-face to discuss ways that they could fix this paper on a higher order level. And then maybe suggest that if they would like you to go through and read in depth and address those smaller issues, that you would be happy to do it if they would like to schedule a regular OWL appointment with you for later. Most students are happy to do this and just weren't quite sure how the OWLive process went. So because of the weird space that OWLives occupy between face-to-face and OWL appointments, it's important to remember that the priorities in it are going to be a little different as well. Because it's more like a face-to-face appointment, the priorities for an OWLive appointment are very similar. It is very flexible and you can do more discussing than coming up with carefully crafted comments. It also allows you to read ahead a little bit because they'll almost always attach their paper ahead of time, and it allows you to focus more on higher order concerns because you don't have a lot of time to read through the paper with them. This does make it a little different than a face-to-face appointment though, because you don't have time to read through the entire paper with them. This is a part where they're going to expect you to read through it for them, and you may just want to remind them that you would like to know their issues. So you can do this by practicing the active listening techniques that we've discussed, asking them what they would like to work on the most, and then setting a list of goals and priorities on what you're going to be working on in that paper. Then, as we said earlier, reminding them that if they want lower order concerns discussed that aren't repetitive, then you would be happy to do an OWL appointment for them. Also, be sure to work within your comfort level and make sure to let them know that sometimes you may not be comfortable addressing lower order concerns in that way, or that you're comfortable sitting there and just reading the paper in front of them. You would like to save that for later in an asynchronous appointment. Finally, ask questions. Just figure out what it is they want and how you can best help them, and then give suggestions for how that help can be found. At the end of the day, just remember, first of all, don't work for IT, so if it doesn't work, it doesn't work because of a technological problem. If they don't have a paper, they don't have a paper. We have other types of appointments for them to use, and if they're long-distance students, we have the OWL for them to use. So don't sweat it if it doesn't work out.